Welcome back, my dear followers. This is another episode of The History of the American Mafia, a podcast brought to you by Fabio Fabiano and read and translated by me, Grace Catlisi. This is part 2 of the Banana Society. You can listen to part 1 on Spotify, Spreaker and iTunes. I hope you enjoy this new episode. Inspector Oldfield investigated the extortion report filed by the Italian-American Giuseppe Amicone. Furthermore, thanks to the cooperation of the post office director, he learned that Sam Lima, head of the criminal organization the Marian Banana Society, sent large sums of money to Italy via that same post office. But that's not all, because the boss sent letters to other Italian immigrants who lived in Ohio, Pennsylvania, and in the state of New York. Thanks to a confidant, the investigator discovered that those same letters contained an invitation to a meeting with all the bosses of the Banana Society, which was to be held the month following the expedition in Marion. On the morning of the meeting, the 9th of March 1909, together with other investigators, Oldfield came up with a quick but effective plan. The investigator, along with the other officers, placed themselves near Marion train station to identify those arriving to the city on trains from the specific states of Ohio and Pennsylvania. Other policemen were posted near Lima's house shop and noted down all the movements of the Sicilians who entered and left. The purpose of that secret meeting was the election of the head of the criminal association. The bosses gathered there set the rules of the society and expressed their votes regarding them. The most important of these included death for traitors and more or less severe punishments for those who disobeyed orders or showed cowardice. They also proposed and selected future victims. They were all Italian immigrants scattered in 6 different states who had managed to create a satisfactory economic position for themselves. The participants, seated amongst crates of fruits and in the midst of cigarette smoke, nominated by a show of hands Sam Lima as head of the organization. A week later, letters signed by the Black Hand were mailed from several post offices in the Midwest. Inspector Oldfield created a task force, including other police inspectors, local and federal police officers, Secret Service agents, and some translators. Among these law enforcement officers was an Italian-American detective who became as legendary as Petrosino, skilled in camouflage and infiltrating Italian criminal circles. His name was Francis Di Maio. He was a true hero of the Pinkerton Detective Agency of Chicago. Detective Di Maio was remembered by Inspector Oldfield's son in one of his books with the following words: "He could have appeared a man from northern Italy, or maybe Sicily or Corsica, or from one of the coastal cities of Spain or Portugal. He could wear baggy woolen trousers and wield a pickaxe like miners. He could disembark a ship with other sailors or dress in an oversized suit to sell appliances door to door. He could embody a Portuguese seaman, a lattice dance instructor, an accordion player. He refused to be photographed so that no one could ever recognize him and was always careful not to blow his cover. He had a rather ordinary appearance and he was easily confused with people, and no one was able to give him a precise description after he suddenly disappeared from the scene. The only thing that stood out about him was his hair, black as obsidian, hence his nickname, the Crow. Joe Petrosino highly esteemed him and considered him the greatest connoisseur of the mafia in America. Di Maio had investigated undercover among the Italian immigrants from Chicago and Pittsburgh. In New Orleans, he was incarcerated in order to collect information from a forger who knew details about the murder of Captain Hennessy. Having become head of the Philadelphia office, he investigated 21 people suspected of belonging to the Black Hand Criminal Society. But let's get back to our inquiry on the Banana Society. Following the interrogation of the victims, none of them admitted to having received bribe letters with pierced hearts, crossbones, and skulls. Investigations for evidence spanned the Midwest, California, Louisiana, and Oregon. Some investigators had even theorized the illusory belief that the American headquarters of the Black Hand was located in Marion. The turning point came on June the 8th, 1909, the date of the police operation. The policemen broke into Sam Lima's house and shop, arrested him along with his brother-in-law Sebastian and a friend. A chest full of edged weapons, firearms, and several brass knuckles were found. A handwritten list with the names of the next victims and thousands of dollars in banknotes. All these artifacts were seized and the evidence brought against the arrested. Unfortunately, the arrest warrant for Sam Antonio Lima's father was not carried out, as he managed to escape and return to Sicily. Other alleged members of the association were arrested in the cities of Ohio and Pennsylvania. Of course, there was no lack of drama during the operation. The arrest of Calogero Charlie Vicker, for example, the criminal welcomed the police armed to the hilt and protected by a human wall of women and children who were also armed and placed outside his front door. Once the resistance was overcome, inside his home several letters were seized, which appeared to have been written by the same hand, using the same type of ink and paper. Letters and telegrams were also found in Pittsburgh at Orazio Rumpler's house, all from the same person, Sam Lima. The only one missing at this point was Salvatore Arrigo, the old founder of the Banana Company. His capture was only a matter of time. In fact, the senior criminal had a passion for sweets, alcohol, and Italian food. It was by following a parcel containing these things, along with wine and flowers, the investigators managed to get their hands on him. They followed the parcel that left Cincinnati Post Office, heading to Battaglia, in the county of Clermont. There, the police identified a farm hidden deep in the woods where Arrigo had found refuge. They also discovered that an Italian restaurant had been preparing a series of Italian dishes especially for him. So, ravioli, macaroni, spaghetti were being delivered to the farm regularly. Arrigo has been betrayed by Italian pasta, explained a satisfied Inspector Oldfield during the press conference after his capture. He told reporters he would not have been able to survive on the vegetables of the county of Clermont. Every day, therefore, he ate spaghetti and macaroni delivered to him. In the house, we found several baskets full of pasta, Romano cheese, vermouth, and Italian wines. The trial of the Banana Society, the first in America against an organized criminal group, began on January the 18th, 1910, in the Federal Court of Toledo. The defendants were able to count on the defense of the most prestigious law firms in the Midwest. Clearly, everyone denied their memberships and repeated that they knew nothing about those letters and the money. Frank Oldfield and the director of the post office in Columbus, however, collected a lot of evidence against the members of the Banana Society. The prosecution presented a 150-page dossier to the grand jury. John Amicon did his duty. Called to testify, he recognized Lima, Ignoffo, and Ventola as those who showed up at his warehouse whenever the letters arrived. Fortunately, other victims had also found the courage to testify before the court against Lima and his acolytes. On January the 29th, the judge handed out the sentence in a packed courtroom. The defendants, all found guilty, were sentenced from 16 to 2 years in prison to be served in a Kansas penitentiary. Sam Lima got the maximum sentence of 16 years. 18-year-old Tony Vicario was incarcerated in Elmira Juvenile Prison in New York. For the 3 other accused, for which the collected evidence was considered weak, The judge had ordered a retrial, which ended shortly after with one single sentence. With this trial, the criminal association known as the Banana Society was beheaded. Unfortunately, however, not that of the Black Hand, which in other American cities will continue to blackmail and kill. That is, however, until the arrival of the era of the Prohibition, when new gangsters take over the US crime scene.